Steve Jobs' story begins not with instant success, but with a decision that would surprise many: dropping out of college. He was only 18 when he left Reed College, an elite liberal arts institution in Portland, Oregon. The decision wasn't impulsive. It was a leap of faith into the unknown, a bold choice that would mark the first step of a journey filled with risks, challenges, and, ultimately, unparalleled achievements. In the early days, Jobs wasn't certain of his future. He spent time attending creative and interesting classes, like calligraphy, which would later influence the aesthetic design of Apple products. It was a lesson in how unconventional learning could shape the future. But that very decision to leave college, to reject a traditional path, would set the stage for the radical innovation he would soon bring to the world. Jobs' story wasn't about following the norm. It was about defying expectations, and with every decision, he carved a path that few could understand at the time. Little did anyone know, this dropout would become the master architect of a global empire. Steve's first big break came when he co-founded Apple in 1976 with his childhood friend Steve Wozniak and a small group of visionaries. But Apple's early days were not glamorous. They worked out of Jobs' parents' garage, assembling computers by hand. They struggled with funding, competing against giants in the tech world, and trying to convince investors that a computer company could change the world. Jobs' vision, however, was crystal clear. Technology should be beautiful, intuitive, and accessible to the masses. Yet, in the early days, it was far from easy. The first Apple computer, the Apple I, was far from a commercial hit. They faced financial troubles, a lack of resources, and were constantly on the verge of failure. Jobs knew how important it was to keep pushing forward, even when it seemed like they were losing everything. In 1977, Apple finally caught a break. They launched the Apple II, the first pre-assembled personal computer, which turned out to be a massive success. Yet even with this success, Jobs wasn't one to rest. He had bigger dreams, dreams that would soon lead to something that would change the world forever. Jobs was never satisfied with good enough. After the success of the Apple II, Jobs set his sights on creating a machine that would revolutionize personal computing. He imagined a computer that was not just functional but elegant, something that could be operated with a graphical user interface, making it accessible to the average person. But in his pursuit of perfection, Jobs clashed with Apple's board of directors, who felt his vision was too risky, too ambitious. They eventually forced him out of the company he co-founded. It was a devastating blow. For many, being ousted from the company they created would be the end. But for Jobs, it was just another chapter. The fall from grace was humbling, but it ignited a fire within him. He was more determined than ever to prove that his vision was worth fighting for. After being ousted from Apple, Jobs didn't retreat into the shadows. Instead, he founded two groundbreaking ventures. Next, a company focused on creating powerful computers for education and business, and Pixar, a small animation company. Both ventures were deeply personal to him, and he poured his heart and soul into their success. Next didn't bring the immediate financial success Jobs had hoped for, but it was a huge leap forward in terms of technology. The next computer would be one of the first to feature a graphical user interface and powerful programming tools, technologies that would shape future computer development. Meanwhile, Pixar, under Jobs' leadership, began producing animated films that would go on to change the industry. In 1995, Pixar released Toy Story, the first fully computer-animated film. It was a hit and established Pixar as the leader in animation. But Jobs wasn't satisfied. He saw a future where technology and creativity could work together to change the world. And he would soon find himself at the helm of the company he once built. In 1996, Apple, the company Jobs had once built, was struggling. The market share was shrinking, competition was fierce, and the company was on the brink of collapse. At that moment, Apple made a bold move, acquiring Next, which brought Jobs back into the fold. It was a triumphant return. Jobs was not just returning to Apple. He was returning with a wealth of new knowledge, new ideas, and a deeper understanding of both technology and business. The Steve Jobs who re-entered Apple was a different person. He wasn't the rebellious young entrepreneur anymore. He was a seasoned visionary with the ability to transform the company. And transform it he did. With Jobs back at the helm, Apple began to innovate at a pace never seen before. The company introduced the iPod, a product that revolutionized the way people listened to music. It was sleek, intuitive, and the first true breakthrough in personal technology in years. People lined up for hours to buy the iPod, and Apple quickly became a cultural phenomenon. But Jobs wasn't done yet. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone, a device that changed the way people interacted with the world. The iPhone wasn't just a phone. It was a pocket-sized computer, a music player, and an entertainment hub. It was the result of Jobs' belief that technology should be beautifully designed and easy to use. Then came the iPad, which transformed the tablet market and solidified Apple as a leader in consumer electronics. The world was watching as Apple evolved into one of the most valuable companies in the world. And at the center of it all was Steve Jobs, a visionary who had taken an unconventional path to get there. Despite the massive success, Jobs' health was deteriorating. In 2011, after battling a rare form of pancreatic cancer for several years, Jobs passed away at the age of 56. His death sent shockwaves through the world. The world had lost a visionary, a creative genius, a man who had truly changed the world. But even in death, Steve Jobs' legacy lived on. Apple continued to thrive, and the products he envisioned, the iPhone, iPad, MacBook, remained some of the most sought-after technology in the world. Jobs' impact on the tech world and on society as a whole is immeasurable. He didn't just create products. He created a culture of innovation, a belief that technology could improve people's lives. Jobs redefined what it meant to be a leader, showing the world that success doesn't always come from following the conventional path. Sometimes, the greatest achievements come from those who dare to think differently. Steve Jobs' story is one of relentless pursuit, creativity, and the refusal to accept mediocrity. His journey from a college dropout to the co-founder of one of the world's most successful companies is a testament to the power of innovation and perseverance. He may have left us too soon, but his legacy continues to inspire millions. If there's one thing Steve Jobs taught us, it's that the road less traveled is often the one that leads to greatness. Never stop innovating, never stop dreaming. The world is waiting for the next visionary to change it all.